I think you guys can hear me. Oh, where we got? Who's that? Allo. Allo. Hey, Yo, what's up, man? Thank you for joining. You guys. My name's AJ. This is the Digidollar awareness space. Today we're gonna be talking more on liquidities and kind of understanding that a lot more. I'm gonna hang back a little and just kind of wait for a little bit more people to join. If you guys don't mind, just let's give it a little time. I know where I'm at. It's 8:30 Eastern New York time. So, um, yeah, let's wait a little bit, see who joins. I was also hoping maybe YC joins because there's a couple things that I want to touch on liquidity and feeding liquidity and basically how all this works, the benefits, pros, cons, risks, and everything that goes with it. Not financial advice, but hang tight. Let's see how if anybody else joins. It's pretty quiet Monday. I'm assuming it's gonna be a little while. We'll just hang tight. So I want to, pretty much as a community effort with this, the whole feeding liquidity for Digidollar and stuff. So understanding that it has, like everybody has to understand that at all parts. I know this space is recorded, but you know, we definitely need people for more um, opinions, and then just like just the whole idea of this and how we're gonna attack this. 'Cause to a sense, liquidity, feeding liquidity does have some type of like cons on all ways. or I guess centralization in a sense. So like that's something that has to be explained properly. Well, in the meantime, while we wait, the links are down in the space. I have the how to download the core wallet, the GitHub for the latest release of the core wallet, also the Gitter chat if you want to join and testnet the new RC33, Digiscope and Digiscope on Telegram, and something new that I can announce is that I ended up opening up a Facebook page. Shit, I just closed it, but it's open. I put the link down there. It's named AJ Digi because it needed a name. It didn't recognize Digidollar awareness as a first and last name, but it's there and it's in the bio now. I already did a bunch of posts, so I don't know if you guys want to create Facebook pages or if you have one already, just go there and pretty much it's the same thing that I have on my X page now, except now I can do longer posts and articles and shit like that. What's up, CJ? We're just hanging tight, waiting for a couple more people to join. Today's space was going to be mostly about more learning on Digidollar liquidity, where we could start it, where we could fund it, and just understanding all aspects of that.
No problem, bro. I'm here. Just trying to gain information.
Also, I ended up creating a Facebook page. All the links are in the space here. So there's a Facebook page for this page, for the Digidollar awareness page. The only thing is I couldn't name it Digidollar awareness, so it's named AJ Digi because it didn't recognize Digidollar awareness as a first and last name. So if you go on the links, you guys can go there. If you do have a Facebook, or for whoever is on Facebook, might be easier to gain some information, and I'll be able to post articles there since I don't need a blue check to do it.
Got it.
I guess I'll pretty much just start because it is a recorded space, but ideally the goal is to gather the community, to build a fund, to provide liquidity, whether that's in a DEX, um, in a native, cross-chain native, blockchain like Decred or Thorchain, um, or in a SEX, obviously. And I think in this aspect, whichever way we go, I think we should try multiple options. But there is something that, you know, the community should be aware of in this, which is that it does bring some type of centralization to Digidollar. Obviously, we need liquidity because we're going to need to transact. We're going to need to have use of the Digidollar outside of just our ethos, just for technically just marketing and exposure, really. I mean, because obviously the end goal would be to only transact in Digidollar, right, through the core wallet. But in the meantime, being what I believe is a real world uh, usage is, the trading within different chains, because you're going to want to flip your money wherever you decide to flip your money and bring it back here, or whether that's whatever reason you had to transact in another coin, or you had to get a pair for Litecoin, or had to get a pair for Ethereum for whatever reason, right? This will accelerate that process. So what I've been searching a lot in different types of dexes, and there's only really like four options for us. I mean, if we're gonna go the truly decentralized way, fully decentralized, um, which aligns with our ethos, would be Decred. That would be the one that truly is, decentralized. Now, here's the things that bring the caveat of the small, centralization in this aspect, is that someone, right, we're going to have to trust in a dev to basically run this node, which will be a local computer, it will be a server that um, that basically runs a liquidity pool. So while there'll be slippage of anywhere of 2%, right? It'll be 99 cents to 101 to maintain this stable peg on Decred. The problem is that one entity has to hold the key. And that key has to be chosen, with I would suggest Jared, right? Like, but I would suggest Jared, or like a figure like that is like of that stature in the DGB community to entrust, because the node has to be running at all times. Um, so if that for whatever reason goes off, um, the market's not live anymore. We lose the liquidity there, right? So if it goes offline, all liquidity it instantly vanishes until the computer literally turns back on. Now, I will explain to you guys how Decred works, as far as like um, everything you would do to set it up, um, so you guys understand it. Let me have it all over here. Give me a sec, you guys. Let me pull it up. Okay, so here it is. So the concept is a peer-to-peer non-custodial exchange using native atomic swaps on active order books. So ideally, uh, with the four options that I've looked up that I think aligns or are our best options, I think it would be good to start with 10K. While it won't be 10K exact, like two protocols charge up to 150 just to get it started. Um, and but then that's a upfront, and then it will be like 9,850 that you split, because for you to have a liquidity pool, you have to split it 50-50. So whatever pair you're doing, right, whatever asset you're doing, would be the other 50% from DD. Um, and basically what happens in this is, with Decred, we're gonna need somebody that is going to um, rely on active order book, right? Like rather than an automated pool, someone must actively hold the keys and keep the order alive. So they have to basically make sure they'll probably put a bot or something, right? Like whoever does this and the technical aspects, they'll probably put a bot to try to keep this peg 99 to 101. But again, you run the risk that that person, the community, has to entrust and make sure that that is running at all times. But that would be the truest, peer to peer, straight, basically wallet to wallet liquidity. Now, there is kind of a con because to this because like how many people are actually like how much is the demand on Decred is the next question, because the whole idea also with liquidity is the marketing and exposure. We're going to attract other audiences to want to interact with the Digidollar and organically bring the utility of Digidollar in other ways, right? Because utility is what it is right now, and we know that it's strong. Now we need the other people that quite don't understand this, and like we mentioned this earlier in these spaces, there's different people that receive information completely different, and some people might just be seeing a pair traded within their ethos. So yeah, so Decred, that will be one of like the cons of it is like how big can we get there, and also who's going to control that key, um and make sure that they're willing to navigate the order book, because they literally have to manually put in the orders again. Another thing is it runs on somebody's computer, so they're susceptible to hacks and shit like that, and who knows if their bot messes up. While everything can go good, we still run that risk. So while keep in mind that all these suggestions, I believe we're gonna have to do it no matter what, um, because we need to establish liquidity in multiple ethos. The more Digidollar is around, the better. Doesn't mean we have to do it immediately. I'm not saying and the number 10,000 isn't for every liquidity integration that we decide to do. Like there are, which I guess I can go straight into the next one, which would be a centralized exchange. Centralized exchanges, it doesn't really matter which one we decide, right? Like the smaller the centralized exchange is, the smaller amount that we could create a liquidity pool with. So like we could literally do it with 2K. Now, the problem with the centralized exchange, sorry, you guys give me one sec. All right, sorry. It's getting a call. The problem with the centralized exchange is like, we could send our funds there, but they control everything. So, and we know how centralized exchanges are. They can decide to freeze our assets, and it's pretty much a promise that they even still hold our asset. They could pretty much turn it into a paper trade. So like that would probably be, I think, would make more sense to do later in the longer aspect run when we've become, you know, at the $4 to $5 range, and it would probably make sense where it would naturally be built up. Um, so yeah, there is that route. There's also the other one that aligns with us would be Thorchain, right? So let me explain to you guys Thorchain. Remember, within all these liquidities that we would supply to, they're all going to be 50-50 of the native token and whatever the pair is. I know that YC mentioned that we would want to do pairs like Ethereum and Litecoin pairs and stuff like that. But what I think the reality is to do a peg like that creates a lot of volatility, and to want to bring the community to invest in that is a little bit more of a risk management than peg it straight to another stable. So that's another thing to keep in mind. When we do go to decentralized exchanges, that's where you would like Decred would be more so the pairing to Litecoin or like Ethereum. But again, like how many people are using Decred would be the question for us to go and do this, because we're going to go put our precious Digidollars for it to be exchanged and utilized over there. So now with Thor chain, you do this, but you do basically the community has to hold 50% of native rune tokens. So now basically what happens with that, it isn't a dollar stable peg, it's the rune stable peg, which has been known to be volatile, right? While it's still native, right? So that's another thing to keep in mind. The first two that I've mentioned, Decred and this one, are native, meaning you don't have to bridge them over. You wouldn't have to wrap the token or anything like that. It would obviously just be straight from core wallet over to do this, right? But it would still take, we would also still need a dev in this aspect, because it wouldn't be something where it could be initially done and that's it. You kind of still need a dev to basically show face, because it isn't like zero control in this scenario. Why? Because Thor chain basically it's like why am I blanking on the word? It's like an auction, right? Like basically you're in queue, right? And someone has to be, you're in queue waiting um to enter your slot for your pool, right? And you have to basically watch it every 3 days. Someone has to be actively watching this every 3 days, right? And another thing is someone can outbid us. So let's say we have $10,000 in liquidity that we plan on doing, which is the 50-50, like I told you guys. If somebody else decides to come in and they go with 15K, they can outbid us. And then now whoever holds these funds, right? Because it will have before now Thor, you can burn them, right? And the it's not, you can burn the coins, right? But here's what happens if you burn the coins and completely eliminate the LP tokens from Thor, right? They're deleted, they're dead, so you can never access them. And while usually this is a good thing, in Thor chain scenario, if we get outbid, then you basically just burn the money away, and you can't you can't do anything about it. And then you would have to literally go to the community again. These are another thing that someone has to control this, right? Because someone has to be there. If you don't burn it, someone has to be there and replace the bid. Now you don't lose your money if you don't get your space in the bid. You just have to replace the bid again and hope the pool gets created, right? But in the scenario that you're going to be zero control, right? And what we have to be, right? Because would be a community raised fund. It would have to be, no entities attached to it whatsoever. In Thor chain, we can't do that. And we can't do that because of the reasoning that it's a pending pool. So it's more funds, winner takes the pool. Now again, it would be up to the community if they feel comfortable with an entity to control that aspect, which I think, like I told you guys, we would have to do that in the future. Like it would make the most sense to eventually have one entity that the community decides is like, you know what, this person, has to keep, or we have to keep the decentralized aspect of it to the most where it's native until, like, right, if there's a developer out there that ends up making our own liquidity pool, and now people are just already in our ethos directly peer to peer with Digidollar.
Question. Um, so scenario. Let's say, we've got, we'll use, fuck, what would you just, the first one. Why the fuck can I decred? There we go. Um, let's say we put a 10K in there, right? Got the pool running. Um, let's say all that gets bought up because of Digidollar and Digibyte, supply and demand. Um, is all that just gone and we would just have to keep resupplying the pool?
No, so the way that the liquidity pool is only, right, the only thing we supply is a 5K, right? So you would put a 2% slippage at all times. And basically, the way that the liquidity pool will bring in people is them feeding into the liquidity. It's not really like you're going to get people actively buying us out, right? Like the beginning. Well, at least that's what I believe. I don't think that people are just going to go over there and then buy out all of it, but that would be where your market maker comes in. And we wouldn't have an automated market maker in Decred. That would be your trading bot that we hold someone accountable. So that question, it would be like, if, let's say hypothetically, let's use Jared, right? Because he's the founder and really the most predominant one that we would kind of go through, right? If he was the one in charge, he would be in charge making sure the market doesn't swift where there is a what the fuck is the word, dude? There's a term, I just can't think of it right now, but when you basically, get liquidated, that wouldn't happen in a scenario. There's two other options where there's what's called an automatic market maker where those things wouldn't happen, but you would need a bot to keep that 99 to 101. And that's another thing, right? Like it would be easier to do that on a stable. Now in Decred, you're more likely do something like that with like a LTC or Ethereum kind of thing. Same with Thorchain. You would kind of do that kind of pair, which is a little bit above my grade. That would be up to whoever's running that.
Word. I guess my main concern is just getting bought out, because what if you can't really get DGB in many places, and people do bum rush, I don't know. I just feel like it'll just I just feel like there would be too much demand in the early stage, at least.
So yeah, so that's the thing, right? Like if that is the case scenario, so this would be the next options. These are the options that, while they are centralized, kind of it kind of self keeps it where it's already doing that, like in a sense. You get what I'm saying? So there's two options. There's Aerodrome Finance, which is on the base network. And I'll pretty much explain how this one works. Basically, you fund a wallet, right? Whether that's MetaMask. But this one does work with Coinbase. Yeah, I know, Green. It's not my biggest pick. I wouldn't go with this one as the first one because essentially this one's going to tie someone's KYC out there. So, but again, these are another way of doing it. But basically the way this works is, you would do the same thing and then you would do a DD to USDC, pair. And basically what happens is you would deposit the LP tokens. Like when you establish a pair, you have to pay a fee, right? You have to pay a fee, which is like about $150 to establish it. Then you get the LP tokens. So here, it's right here. So you'd have to, okay, yeah. You create the wallet. Then once you create the wallet, you switch to the base network. You load it with the funds, which is the USDC, because you're going to need that pair, and about $30 or $30 to $50, which is what the gas fee on Ethereum costs. Then in these, you have to bridge. So, Yo Green, you have a question?
No, I was listening. I put my hand up.
Yeah, your hand was up. My bad.
Oh, okay.
All right. Basically, so with this one and the other one would be Radium. So I guess I can explain both of these because they're pretty much the same thing, and I can just break down what are the pros and cons on both of them. So basically, here I wrote it down. This is my notes are all over the place. Where did I write Radium? Okay, so Radium is a DEX. As you guys know, it's on Solana. But actively right now, it is the biggest DEX. The reason why it would be good to do it over there is because it could be done completely solely through the community, and it's the most transparent one as of right now. So is Thorchain. So don't get it twisted. But again, I'm sorry, not Thorchain, Aerodome and Radium are basically the same thing. The only thing is one we're dealing with Ethereum and Coinbase, and the other one we're dealing with Solana. Now, what is good about Radium is that Radium, you're not going to have to be tied to KYC. You could basically either establish a Soulflare wallet, which is the original Solana coin, like the Solana blockchain wallet, or a Phantom wallet. Whatever one, it wouldn't matter. It's just part of the process. So you load up the wallet there, and it's going to be the same price whether it's Solana or Ethereum. It's about $150 to get it launched, right? So you fund the wallet, and then you go to the bridging where you go to bridge, and you end up bridging the 50% that you're going to use to pair with your liquidity. What's up, bro?
Is my hand still up?
Yeah, it just literally just went up.
Really? I'm not even pressing no buttons. Wow. Okay.
You're good, dude. All right, so basically, yeah, so you bridge it. So on Radium, you would bridge to something called Portal Bridge. So if you guys are here, you could literally go check it out right now. You go to Portal Bridge, and that's where you would bridge on for Radium, to bridge the Digidollar to Radium. And to bridge Aerodrome, it is it's cross change bridge like Portal, or an EVM bridge that supports custom token mapping to lock native DD on Digibyte and mint the wrap ERC20 version on the base network. So this one's you're wrapping it through a portal on Ethereum. I would have to get a little bit more.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? More.
So I'm literally on here asking, chat, what's up? But yeah, from what it said, just for like a easy explanation, I guess for everybody, for me too.
Mm-hmm.
Example trade: pool starts with 1,000 DGB and 1,000 USDT. The price of DGB is $1 in this imaginary world. If someone buys DGB in that pool decreases and the USDT increases. Now DGB becomes more expensive because it's scarcer in the pool, aka that's where the automated market makers would kick in and increase the price. So basically, okay, I see like a balancing effect.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't really matter how much demand there is because the price would just go up with the market makers.
Yeah, sorry. I got so much information. I was trying to break it down as best as I could. Thank you for that though.
Yeah.
That's literally that. So with you saying that, the reason why either Radium or Aerodrome is good for us is because no one would have to work these. Once we fund these and we put them on there, you send them to a burn address, and then you also do a process that is you basically deny. I forget what it's called. Hold on, I have it written down here. You revoke the certain things. You revoke. Hold on, let me look it up. Sorry, you guys.
Yeah, I never really looked too much into like the liquidity pool of like exactly how they work, But yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes sense. And also, I mean, it's a good thing, also kind of seeing now, because we're going to need decentralized price oracles with the Digidollar in the future. And this is, a way to make that happen.
Okay.
To be honest.
I'm just going to explain how you do the whole thing in Radium. So basically, you go to a non-code tool, to Smithy Tools or Solar Network, fill out the form to upload the Digidollar logo, image, name, symbol. So it doesn't show up as an unknown token, right? And then what it's called is you revoke. Wow, crazy stutter, bugging. Revoke control, right? So while still on the no code tool, right? Because the good thing about both of these is it doesn't involve a dev. It's something that us as a community could do. And what I would want also to do this, I would probably want 4 people to all have control of this wallet at the same time. So like I would pick, like 4 to 3 people that are, because this will be something like part of raised on Digiscope, right? And the fact of the matter is that there has to be transaction done. Somebody has to do transactions, meaning someone has to grab half. Like if we raise $10,000, someone has to grab 5,000 of that, and it has to be either raised like at this point it would have to be raised 5,000 of it would have to be raised in Digidollar, and the other 5,000 would have to be raised in Digibyte, right? Because we're not going to raise Solana, and then that Digibyte has to go go to an exchange, go to some type of DEX, be exchanged, right, and then brought back to Soulflare. And then the same thing goes for Base. Base, you would have to exchange the other half for USDC or USD, whatever the pair we're gonna do on Ethereum would be. I don't see I didn't get any information on USDT, and I honestly really wouldn't want to do a liquid. I don't feel comfortable as a community at all to even mess with them right now, like, or at all in the future. I don't really like them at all. So I think it's best to stick to USDC or like USD based on whatever. If we end up finding another DEX, that makes more sense. You know what I'm saying? But all right. So basically, what happens is you revoke the authorities, right? So basically, to revoke the authority means you revoke the mint authorities and you revoke the freeze authorities, meaning that like whoever, like, let's say it's Jared, the one that, we do this, and then he's in charge of making these moves to make it happen. Basically, he revokes these, and he won't be able to take that money out at all. Now, the automatic market maker keeps it there. Now, why are Arbitrarium? Why do I believe Radium and Aerodrome is good for the community? Is because the community can come in here, again, not financial advice, but they can come in here and they can yield farm from either one, and they can feed the liquidity and keep it going. And these are known to, stay to their peg. Like, the only thing that is in a trust here that is to question, right, is the wrapping mechanism. The fact that is the bridge. This is where the I wrote it down here. So for Radium and Base is once the LP tokens are sent to the null address, the 10,000 is locked in the pool forever. If the underlying bridge technology fails or if a more popular DEX emerges later, these community funds cannot be moved or recovered. Bridge and smart contract risks. Both options rely on wrapping native assets via third-party bridges like Portal or Wormhole. If the bridge protocol suffers a hack or exploit, the wrapped tokens on Solana or Base could lose all their value, even if the native Digibyte chain remains perfectly secure. Impermanent loss. While minimal for matching stablecoins, extreme market volatility could still cause slight imbalances in the pool ratio. So that's, I'm just going to keep reading what I have written for Thorchain and for Decred. So Thorchain is cross-chain native. Now, the permanent loss of capital via key deletion. So to achieve a serial control, because I was breaking down for us to do this serial control, right? And the only serial control that I've really got that makes the sense is Radium and Aerodrome. But again, we have that issue. So the issue of, the bridging, if that side messes up for us, it could really, go sour. But no one, that's another thing. Sorry if I'm all over the place, you guys. And these two options, whoever loaded this wallet up, right? Whoever loaded this pool up does not make any rewards. They do not make any yield farm or any rewards. Once you revoke that mint authority and freezing and you burn the tokens, it's literally mathematically impossible to access it. So no one makes money. Now on Thorchain and Decred, because Decred is the market maker, they make that 2%. So the community's going to be aware of that. And while the 2% might not seem like a lot, and I really personally wouldn't care, and I know it sounds crazy, but I wouldn't care. But I know later in the future, if we become really, really what we know we will become, right, that 2% is going to be a lot. So, and in Thor, because again, someone's always bidding us into the auction, they also get that slippage bread. And that slippage, in Thor is a lot bigger because now you're holding Rune stable, and the Rune stable is volatile because you have to hold Rune. So, okay, so I guess, yeah, basically that ties to it. So Thor, the organizer must delete the wallet's private keys or seed phrase. If this is done before pool officially wins the active 3-day queue slot, The 10,000 will be locked in a pending state forever and can never be retrieved or reattempted. Rune price exposure. This option forces the fund to hold 50% of its value in Rune. Rune is highly volatile. If the price of Rune crashes by 50%, the total value of the community liquidities pool will drop significantly, regardless of how well Digidollar holds its peg. And then for Decred, right, like the risks and warnings, is human and centralization risks. Because this option cannot be burned and left on autopilot, the organizer must maintain control of the private keys to keep the orders active on the book. This violates the Zero Control Pledge and leaves the funds exposed to the risk of human error, local computer hacks, or physical hardware failure. Server downtime risk. If server running the market or the market making bot goes offline, all liquidity instantly vanishes from the market until the computer is rebooted and the wallet is manually unlocked. So yeah, those are the things that we basically need to take in consideration when we do the funds for the liquidity. Again, the liquidity doesn't have to be 10,000. In an ideal world, 10,000 is where we want to be, but we can do as low as 2,000. 2,000 is not going to be the 2,000 exact because you have to take the 150. If it's in an exchange, they're going to charge 150, and then they'll split the remainder 1850, 50-50. And now with centralized exchanges, yeah, you have that, here's my money. They deal with it. And, centralized exchanges for the most part are going to try their best to not lose liquidity because they're going to try to manipulate those things. So no one makes fees there besides the centralized exchange. So that's just basically us giving our Digidollar away to them. And again, that one is the literal, trust me, bro. They might have just sold it and then we're just playing with their perpetuals and we don't know it yet. Does anybody have any questions?
Nah, I don't got any. Don't got any.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have
So
much.
anyone can just go do this right now if they wanted to, right?
Yes. So anybody can start a liquidity for Digibyte. I wouldn't advise that. Again, not financial advice, but I wouldn't go and establish a liquidity pool for Digibyte because it isn't a stable. So the risk is going to be way bigger than a stable because while you could do it, you could wrap up Digibyte and the most quick ones that you can do without need of anybody's anything, right? If you have 2K, you can either do Aerodrome or you can do Radium, and you could do a pair of DGB to Soul. You can do whatever pair you want through Radium or
All
Aerodrome.
that shit's sketch though, man.
Yeah,
Just
but
because I know it's gonna get hacked anytime soon, you know. Like that bots, the AIs, they're going through everything right now. They're pillaging shit, you know. But like I would be cool. I mean, not even to say I would be cool, but my preference on it would be like, where's the Dex? Isn't Decred like basically truly peer to peer? Like you have to wait for someone to actually put in an order to accept that order from what you have versus what they want.
yes, it is, but not in a liquidity pool. Not when you're building liquidity, when you're establishing a pair,
Okay.
right? Like if you're just going to be with them and you're going to interact with Decred, it's like us, right? Like if you're just going to interact with Digibyte, yeah, it's just us. If you're on Core Wallet and I'm sending it straight to you, yeah. But now when you're establishing liquidity,
Listen, the host is a fat spastic. He's got no money. I'm a multi-millionaire and I'll buy his fucking family. How about that? How about that, host, you fucking fat nigger?
Yeah, I've
Anyways,
seen
guys.
I've seen his mom on OnlyFans.
The spammers.
Yeah, what a dog. What a
oh,
dog. Your mum's a dog.
90,
Digidollar.
99
Go
cents.
fuck yourself, you
all
wanker.
right, who else is
Nigger,
there?
nigger, nigger, nigger,
Okay,
nigger, nigger, nigger.
well, it'd be like that. All right. Um,
You can make me a co-host if you want. We can get these fuckers out of here pretty quick, you know.
I got you, bro. Yeah. Well,
All
that's
right.
actually good to see, though, dude. We got trollers. That means that people are listening,
Are listening.
whether they
Yeah.
want to or not. They have enough time to spend to come here and troll us. We're making a dent on information, and that's important. Yeah. So the thing about Decred, bro, is that you have someone's gonna have to control that. So
Yeah, shut up, nigger.
how's he still on here, bro? I'm not just okay.
I think I got them. You got to block them and then they won't come back.
I don't even.
You got to hit the mute and block. I think you can only do that. Let me see.
I'm trying to remove them. I removed them a couple times. But
Block and remove. Miller, are you cool? Are you chilling? Let me look at your profile
no,
picture.
he was the one that
Oh,
was. Yeah, he was the one that
Yeah,
was
Miller.
spamming.
Miller, go fuck yourself. You're out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. So the now the thing like, dude.
Yeah, my bad.
No, you
Yeah, oh
good,
my
bro.
god, bro, that shit was funny. Not like them talking, but you know, the whole,
Yeah.
yeah, the last part where I just told that dude to go fuck himself and then he just disappeared.
Yeah. All right,
Oh my
back
god.
to the main thing though. So yeah, dude. Like we know these protocols. Like having liquidity is really like I have on the header on this space. It's a way to expose ourselves and a marketing, right? Like because ideally we want everybody to just interact with the core wallet, direct peer to
Yeah,
peer.
shout out the niggers. Shout out all the niggers. Shout out the
Oh,
niggers.
is that
Hell
niggas getting
yeah.
invaded?
Shout out the niggers. Digibade.
Oh, dude.
He's gone.
Yeah.
They're just gonna keep coming in until they run out of accounts.
No.
I don't think they've got that many though. It seems like a little group.
Can I can make two people co-hosts? Yo, Khan, you're trying to help just get rid of the spam if they join. Is that possible, Green, or no?
I think so. Or I don't know. Try it.
It says invite.
I mean, it don't matter. If they come in, we'll block them.
Okay, yeah. Oh, here I send it to Khan. I don't know if Khan's available there, but all right, but yeah, dude. So the only thing about the first two that I mentioned, the aerodrome and the radium, is that to a sense we have control of them because we're able to make sure that you know everything funds are gone, no one's making money, no one's responsible. As soon as it gets done, it's done. That's it. We look forward, and realistically, we're attacking the two biggest ecosystems out there for DeFi for the people because this is also the reason why we're doing it is for the to to bring more utility from other users. And through that, they're going to want to, it's going to incentivize them to stay directly peer to peer because it's going to be cheaper on no matter what, obviously through core wallet. But yeah.
Gotcha.
So if anybody has any other questions, I see. What's up, man?
What's going on, bro? Sorry, I'm a little late.
No, it's all right. So I basically just broke down 4 of the best options that we have, and I guess I could just bring you in with we were talking about the risk warnings of basically the options that we do have, and to bring up, one of the options that you brought me was centralized exchange. I didn't figure I'd mention them because there's no need to, but basically when it comes with them, right, like the minimum is 2K and they end up controlling the pool. So they could decide to freeze a pool and that aspect of it and how, it's like we can go through these small sex exchanges which we're going to need to at one point. And I do think I mentioned earlier, sorry if I'm all over the place. It's just, I've been breaking down as much as I can, but basically, centralized exchanges, DEXs, and cross chain native.
So
We're going to
bro,
want,
let's just hold on for a second,
yeah.
if you don't mind. So I'm not going to name the exchange either, but this is kind of the discussions I'm seeing more and more. And so I think what the reason I sent it to you was not because I think it should be something, it wasn't really about the price tag. It's more about, how do you handle those requests from, a community standpoint, right? So I don't know how big the exchange is, but a lot of these things are scam requests that I get in DM. Most of it's, you can identify as a scam. This guy was pushing, had some amount. I said, look, we can't do it. The same token coin conversation. Then he wanted me to talk to his manager in Telegram, which I'm sure it was a scam link, so I didn't do it. But the bottom line, it was like 2K as kind of a, I don't know if it was market making or whatnot. There was no listing fees or marketing fees or any of that. So, typically I'm very quick to tell these guys, like, we're decentralized, we're volunteer based. and we can't do it. But I've heard over in the past, like, well, maybe there's other people that in the community that would want to vet that out and do that. So I think I know what the policy is just generally as a community, but I'm asking this question more as a rhetorical question, is how do you handle these requests where people are asking for, funds, and let's say they're legitimate, and maybe someone in the community would want to do that. Do I just throw these off to the wayside and say no, or do I pass it to God, to yourself? Like, what's the protocol in that? I mean, I know what the high level answer is, but I also am in a position where I understand that I can't make decisions for somebody else in the community because this is a permissionless thing. So if somebody wants to do that, or they want to vet it out and figure it out, and it's on their onus that they want to do it, I can't really stop them, right? So I don't know if I'm making sense, but I wanted to at least discuss this as more of a high level thinking. What's the right and ethical way to manage these kind of requests? Because in the past, all we just tell them, look, we can't pay. I mean, I probably tell the guy we can't pay like 4 or 5 times, 3 or 4 times. And he was more persistent and on and on and on. So that's really the feedback I'm trying to, get from you guys.
Yeah, so right, so that's the idea, dude. So that's what earlier I mentioned, like, no matter what way we approach this, there is some type of like centralization risk when establishing liquidity. I think what aligns with us the best would obviously be Decred, but again, what I mentioned earlier is that we would need someone to be responsible and show face for those private keys. And if we keep it in this manner, it would be someone's live computer, and they're responsible for all that liquidity. Again, it's not to say that no one else can start their own liquidity within Decred, and we'll say that people don't go over there, right? That's part of being liquidity pools and stuff like that.
Isn't that a huge attack, like vector risk though? If you have someone that goes and says, hey, I'm managing XYZ wallet, and it has, a decent amount of funds, don't they now become a risk to get that wallet to be compromised? I mean, unless you're planning to do multi-sig or something like that.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. So like, while that is the most decentralized, you do run that. And that's what we were going through right now. Like, and I mentioned earlier with Thor. So the thing is, yeah, bro, that is the scenario that you're at one point. What I feel like is we should split it, right? We should split in between, maybe launch 4 different liquidity pools within different ethos. The problem is, right, like, the show of face and the fact that it is centralized in a sense. With Thor, you can't really burn all of it because it's with Thor chain, it's oh fuck, bro, I just had it, dude. They have to, what's it called? It's like an auction, right? So you're basically pending for your pool to hit. And if someone
you're bidding.
Yeah, you're bidding. Yeah, my bad, dude. You're bidding. And basically what happens with that is someone has to hold those keys. And if you get outbidded, then we have to redo it again in 3 days. Now, if you go and burn those and, you get outbid, then you just lost the money. And if we do get outbid, that means you have to go back to the community and say, hey, well, we need a little bit more money to try to do this all over again. And again, whoever's showing face for them running those wallets. So
but there's also no guarantee that on a second bid you're going to win, right?
That's another thing. Yeah, there's no guarantee on 3, 4, 5, 10 times you can try this. And if people just go up by $100,
so why the hell would we ever do that?
Well, yeah, the only.
I mean, if you don't have any guarantee that even putting up the amount, if they don't charge any fees, I wasn't aware about this auction process, so forgive me. I didn't know that was it. My understanding was you go through the documentation, you do the technological integration, and then they vet out, okay, well, what's the demand? If you want to have a demand as a pair, you're going to have to seed this much liquidity, and you have to have both sides of the equation to foster it. Otherwise, it's not worth our time. And that was the diligence process. I was not aware that there was an auction process. If there is, I'm not sure why you would do it. Why would you even do it?
Yeah, so the only pro in that is it's native. That it's native, you wouldn't have to bridge.
But is
And
that worth the risk of potentially losing out on multiple rounds of? I mean, at some point the community is going to be like, dude, this just seems like a scam.
no, exactly, and that's I mean. So the fact of the matter is, if we have a dev, like if Jared is willing to work with them, right, or like if we have a dev that we appoint to that is very familiar with their thing, then I guess, right? Like it's up to the community, but I don't see it good neither. Like no, I don't think it's smart. It's tough, bro, because no matter what, like it is a risk manager here in feeding liquidity. But I do believe that for us, it makes more sense to treat this as a marketing aspect of it and go with the dexes that are the biggest, which is and that attack, the top 10 cryptos, which are right now Ethereum and Solana, right? Like, and the good thing about those, if we can launch on both of them, and what happens there is the community, since we're a community, both of those pools that are launched with the community funds could be supported by other people, and they can yield farm from them. So from the same community members, they can go in there and yield farm and support the liquidity pool, to, I guess, prevent another liquidity pool from being created with much more capital.
So
So it,
let me ask you this, just
yeah.
because I want to just ask you just from a risk perspective. So you remember, do you remember REN protocol?
Uh,
REN?
yes, I do remember
Okay. I
Ren.
mean,
Yeah.
FTX eventually bought them. So REN, we had a relationship with REN. We being Digibyte had a relationship with REN, and REN protocol set up a native, Digibyte wrapped coin on REN. It was called REN DGB. Okay. And at some point, I think we did a little bit of stuff. I think there's some community members that might have seen, and then it never really got traction. And then eventually, the platform got sold and then the whole FTX thing blew up or whatever it was. I think they got acquired by FTX is what my understanding is. Anyways, I don't know if they're still around or what's going on with them, but how do you curb the fact that if you have liquidity in some of these other pools that you're talking about, how do you figure out what if the interest just wanes or there's not enough people using it? Then you just got dead funds sitting there, right?
Yeah, so that's another case scenario. Yeah, like so the debt funds in a case like Ren would be good though, because it's basically the same thing as Radium and Aerodrome. It's is the demand going to be there? I think that's where we have to look at what is the biggest dexes, right? What are the bigger dexes? We're gonna something like an Ethereum wrap would probably makes the most sense, since I think that most of your retail or average, I guess you could say not just retail, but a little bit more into the intermediate type of trader would be willing to, step into that type of DEX where they can bridge over to Ethereum and do whatever they do over there to flip their money, or Solana, bro. Because again, the liquidity pool is really we're attacking the DeFi movement, right? Like that's really why we're doing this, and to bring the utility of the Digidollar. For the future, the ideal scenario is for everybody just to interact with Digibyte core wallet,
See,
and just peer to peer.
I just think the Solanas in the East are too hot from a security standpoint as everything is right now.
Yeah, that's my issue with both of them. There's so much vulnerability on that.
The L2s, literally.
The L2s and especially Solana. I mean, just as a native platform, I mean, what's it been hacked like 4 or 5 times? It's been absurd what Solana has been like compromised. So
Yeah,
now that's what I was saying on our last call is, and I'm not the one to make this decision. I'm just outlining risks for people to think about because I don't really have a say in the matter. I mean, if people want to do it, they do it. But how would you then just think about this? You spend all this time having this Digibyte that you self custody and you have guarded it with everything you can. And now Digidollar comes out and you're like, wow, this is even better because I get to self custody this. And we've spent 6 to 8 months now, like just hammering it to wrap up vulnerabilities. Okay. So now we go to a Radium or we go to some of these, other platforms. They have a lot of users. And now we wrap Digibyte or whatever we do, and there's no control we have on those security contracts. There's nothing we can do because we don't own the platform. It's not like they might not even be smart enough to diagnose it for all we know. And now we go to that platform and everyone's thinking, oh, well, this is a good way for us to, get exposure, get more liquidity. And now we've got a gaping security vulnerability. And let's say those Digidollars or Digibyte are now gone. And the worst part is it wasn't because they didn't want to self-custody. It was because they used another platform that we couldn't vet out. So I understand. And I'm not saying you go one way or another. I'm just saying, like Green's talking about, you have to look at the optics of the situation. I mean, and this is kind of that chicken and egg game. Like, do you trust a platform that we've heard many, many times has been compromised? I mean, people have lost a lot of money, and I get it. The marketing, whatever the hype, the VCs keep pushing it and keep pumping it because they want to get exit liquidity for their stuff. But is that really the safest move for us?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's not. I'm not going to sit here and say it is. I think the best move would be, like work with someone like Dennis or Johnny. And if we get a developer that knows how to create liquidity pools and a DeFi protocol within Digibyte, that would be that would be the way to go. Create our own DeFi. But the fact of the matter is, I don't know how many devs or devs like that are willing to just come and do that. And like, who's going to do that without? Here's another thing with the liquidity pool, as I was mentioning earlier, there is trading fees, right? And while the trading fees might be minuscule right now, when it starts to kick off, whoever decides to create that DeFi protocol is going to make some type of trading fee, yield. And again, to me, I don't, it doesn't really matter to me. I know that these are things that are needed for you to have a liquidity pool. But I know that the community eventually will feel some type of way. So again, feeding liquidity brings a type of centralization unless we establish it natively through Digibyte. And it would be paired DGB to BTC, DD to BTC. Like it would have to be on a protocol like a web wallet like Dennis is building, and get like a dev that's willing to do that. And I know that, are the devs that we have right now, bro, like, oh, come on, bro, like they're doing overtime already, right? Like, so the only reason why I brought these up is because as a community where we can impact immediately is that. Now, that's not to say that they're like, for that wallet owner that claims that he's in the top 20 that Khan and I had talked, and if I know that he listens here and there, if you are in the top 20, and if he is, bro, he can decide to make a liquidity pool 50K in Radium and do that too, right? Like that's another
Wait,
thing that we
I
have to.
missed that. So who's this top 20 holder?
So
I think he's
Khan,
talking about Chosen, right?
yeah, Khan we had a space about the Digibyte wallet guy, or the Digibyte wallet.org, dgbwallet.org, that guy, and I had questioned him about, if
Wait,
he could.
DigibyteWallet.org. You're talking about Satoshi?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that him? I want to make
It's
sure
not
if Khan
Chosen.
said it.
Chosen is someone else, I'm
Yeah,
presuming.
no, I thought he was talking about,
Okay.
No, I'm
Just
pretty sure it's Toshi, because if Khan can chime in,
so
I'm trying to.
he's saying Toshi's saying he's the top 20 holder.
So when he was on the space, he had mentioned that he was a top 20 holder, and then I had I was like, okay, whatever, right? Like, and he mentioned about his wallet, and he mentioned that I asked him if he can, break down the infrastructure of the wallet, and then he like left, and that's as far as we got. So as soon as like basically started interrogating him, because I know that he had a little bit of bad rep with the wallet, and we were just kind of trying to patch that up. Once that we started to get into those conversations, he had left. But I didn't mean to bring in and riff off of this. It's just a key scenario. If there is a top 100 holder out there and they decide to grab and build their own liquidity pool to outbid somebody else, it is a complete scenario that is possible that the community has to keep in mind. So,
and see that when you brought up, my bad to cut you off, when you brought up fees, that was where I wanted to touch at too. Like me personally, like leaving it to the community is kind of spreading the risk, not really mitigating the risk. I feel like if this was to happen, one person's just going to have to do it if they want to do it, and take on that risk to reap that possible reward of those fees, Um, But yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. Thinking
Yeah,
about
because
it.
if you involve more people in there, I mean, there's the opposite argument that more people can get a percentage of those fees, but you're also you're adding more people to that potential risk vulnerability too. Now you've got 5 times the
Spreading the
people that
risk.
are going to be hammered if something goes down.
Yeah, no. So, and in an ideal scenario, right, you would want all the community to gather into the pool that they created and only feed that liquidity pool. But the fact of the matter is, we know that that's not the case. So yeah, dude, this is the tricky part, but it's good. That's why I wanted to have this space
You
today,
gotta
because these
also
are
think, man.
all the questions in my
DGB
head
gets
was going.
attacked, bro. Like,
Yeah.
who's to say? Like, I would bet money. I would bet DGB on it. That as soon as that thing would go in there, it most likely get hacked within the first like targeted. Within the first 3 to 6 months, we'll say.
Yeah, I think you got to be really thoughtful about this, guys. Like, I mean, and I know we're just having a discussion here. Um, and again, I don't know enough about it, but for me, those other protocols like the Solanas, the ETH, that make me really nervous. Like just because you have so much grift that happens on that chain, those chains. And grifters are going to look for more ways to grift people. So if we're out here talking about Digidollar and all this great stuff, and it's like, well, if somebody can mask themselves and say they're part of the community here, I'm going to start a liquidity pool here, I'll put up 50 grand. Everyone's like, wow, this is great. And they put in the money. Next thing you know, the money's all drained and everyone loses their Digibyte. I mean, it's not even an outlandish scenario. That's actually very possible that could happen. I mean, it's happened before for other things. I don't know why I would stop here. So I just think you have to be very, like the pros really have to outweigh doing this, because right now it feels bad even just thinking about it, because I can see how it would end up. It will end up like really, and that's the other thing. We start getting these things, and because we want Digidollar to have adoption and we want it to gain momentum, that's a momentum killer. If you get hacked or compromised or anything, forget about it. It's done. Doesn't matter how good the actual native stablecoin is, that's being built on it. People will just be like, yeah, it's another chain that got hacked. They tried to go to XYZ DEX and yeah, stay away from it. So, and I'm not trying to throw like a negative into every scenario, but I think you just have to find there has to be some happy medium. And that might be like, hey, Bison wallet, no one's there, or maybe it's a little bit difficult. Well, maybe we have to work with their team and try to enhance the UI or figure out how to reduce the obstacles for the user. Just as we're doing like all the testing on Digidollar, like all this feedback, maybe we need to tell these guys like, hey, this is what we're planning to do. We trust this platform. Like, how can we make the experience more seamless? Because we want to put liquidity, and it's a native asset. And you have like Polygon on there, which people are, I think even Jared tested it. Like he bought Polygon from Coinbase, moved it over to Bison Wallet, and then traded into. I mean, it was like fractions of fees. It was nothing. So, because that's what people are going to be sensitive to that too. Like, I don't want to pay a ton of fees in stable coins just to opt into Digibyte. It doesn't make any sense if I'm buying some small amount for testing purposes or whatever. So anyway, I'm just throwing out a lot here, but I would just think about all that, because just because it's the cheapest platform doesn't, or easier to raise from the community doesn't make it the best, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And just real quick, when you said about Bison Wallet, the last space we had, Jose had commented, it looks like they had deactivated or aren't. Let me see what it says. Just a heads up, Digibyte has currently been deactivated from Bison Wallet. As we move forward, we will not be supporting projects that don't provide their own developers and liquidity. This is a strategic move to avoid apathy and empty order books. Support will always be available.
Yeah, and so this was their concern from the get-go, right? Was that because they did the integration for Digibyte, it was there, and we went back and forth on X. Like they're like, hey, are you guys gonna have users, right? Because it makes sense. Why would they want to empty order book that, right? Now, I don't know if that was the latest thing, because I do know that it was some PR thing. I've mentioned that like a couple times. So, but I don't blame them, because if you're not, it's the same conversation we're going to have everywhere. If people are not using it for whatever reason, they'll just delist it. And then on top of it, they don't want to go through all the integration work, whatever it may be. I don't care if it's an hour or 10 hours or what. They're not going to do it if no one has interest. I mean, I can't blame them. They could put resources in something else that's getting pushed. So with that policy, we're going to have to understand that devs are going to have to put the time in to do the work, and there has to be a serious pulse of people wanting to use the platform. And maybe that urgency is like, hey, this is a way you can swap in and, get Digidollar. There has to be some kind of emotional hook for them to want to go to Bison Wallet, because there's nowhere else they can go to do it. Otherwise, they won't use it. It's just another DEX. And so what you just said from Jose, I'm not actually surprised. That makes sense. Nobody was using that pair. Nobody was using that on Bison Wallet. They were promoting it for so long. Nobody ever used it.
So that's the thing, yeah. So like the best case scenario is it gets built on Digibyte core wallet, and we become the liquidity, and we would offer that within the Digibyte core wallet. That would be how
Jared's already said though that it's not possible. There's too many lines of code already.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So
perfect scenario would be the price of DGB would be astronomically high, and we would just go to the DEXs to sell our DGB and swap out. That's a perfect scenario, and there's really no need for a liquidity pool in that sense.
But the real fact of the matter though is we have to bring other people into the usage of Digidollar. So that's here the question.
Digidollar markets itself though.
The thing, but bro, we're 12 years in. We need the market. We gotta. It does market itself, but this is a form of marketing ourselves. Like honestly, like whatever option we go with, here's the thing: for us it has to be zero control, right? And if it's not zero control and it's native, then someone is responsible. And if it's not that, and if we decide to do a bridge, then basically the community has to have one community pool that's named after the community, that only the community literally gathers everybody there. And that's hard, right? That we would be saying that 1.1 million holders, which is how many wallets are, or according to Digiscope, would basically decide to do liquidity pool there and support that pool, so we don't get overtaken by somebody with more money. Since like if we only come up with 20,000, someone opens a liquidity pool with 50,000, and they have more pool over there, they could do that. But if these are the things we have to figure out a way for it to be zero control, and if it can't be done on the core wallet, then we're entrusting in someone like Dennis or Johnny, right? That build this protocol within their like web wallet or mobile wallet, where there is a swap in a sense there that is a style of liquidity. That would be our only next best thing. And again, I trust in Johnny, right? But God forbid something happens to Johnny, he's not there. Who's gonna run that liquidity there, and who's to say that they don't just pull it all out, right? Like these are the things that we all, and if anybody else has more to chime in or anything like that, this is where my brain's been at today. Is like the only way that I've seen it to be possible to be zero control is through these two DEXs. But the only thing that really we know for a fact is that these two DEXs are always getting screwed over. And according to the math with them, it would be the only potential that we want to risk here is their portal / wormhole, whatever way you're going to bridge. But we also do know that they're sketchy, and like it's the risk that the community has to be willing to take. I don't mean to sound redundant,
is this Radium?
But Radium and Aerodrome.
Oh,
Radium and Aerodrome,
okay.
Yeah, they're both like Aerodrome would be the Ethereum, and basically we kind of invade Coinbase in a sense. But then again, whoever decides to do this has to tie their KYC. So that's one pro that Radium has. That Radium, you could do it as a DEX. It could be a chosen community leader who decides to go establish this, burn the tokens, revoke the rights. And then that no one controls that. Now it's an automatic market maker, and the community has to basically have faith that everybody is going to transact in that, and that there's not going to be a magical $100,000 $50,000 $100,000 USDC to DD made up pool next day. So it's hard, dude. It's hard. I need help here. This is I'm not gonna hold you. I definitely more rifting ideas that we can get, or honestly, YC, how can we figure out a dev that can build this for us, um, where
Well,
it
I mean,
stays within our
even if you're
ethos?
talking about a dev, like, you have to also see if people are willing to bear the risk of creating a dev, right? Or sorry, Dex. Like the dev, who's going to manage the risk? Because I got to imagine, even with Dexes, you must have some compliance and audit like risk, right? You have to get some type of, I mean, not like a formal centralized exchange, but I'm sure Dexes have to give some kind of licensing and cost, something associated. They can't just operate willy
Uh,
nilly.
Not
So
radium.
who's going to do that? I think that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I mean, I can't, it's first of all, it's got to be someone that, is willing to do that. And two, knows of the risks. I mean, like I remember even Jared was talking about, he was thinking of buying or had a Digibyte exchange that, you know, but the licensing fees and compliance fees, everything in the United States was so expensive, and the risk of getting shut down was so great that it wasn't worth it. So I mean, he's been thinking about it for all this time. So I don't know how to answer that, man. We're definitely it's a tricky spot. I'm not really sure yet what the best approach is. I mean, this is good to talk about because we're talking about things that I wasn't even, thinking about, but, we have to figure out like, what's the best avenue. And it goes back to the whole thing beforehand. Forget even like initially the decks, you have to gauge like, and I don't know if it's through community pools or having more spaces and getting other people to share. Like if a dex was set up and it had Digibyte on there, what would prevent you from using it? And would you use it over going to another normal exchange, and why? Because if you answer that question and people are like, yeah, we're still not going to use a dex, we don't, for whatever reason, then you don't have the demand for it. Why would you set it up?
Yeah, so that's why, in my opinion, you're building a dex to attract other people, not the people within the ethos. That would be the only reason why we would go into like
Now,
another
the only
portal.
other
Like if
thing
we're gonna,
too, dude, is that
yeah,
sorry to interrupt you, but I was just thinking there might be platforms, and you're probably know better than me, is maybe they do white label dexing. Like I could have sworn Johnny was doing something with Komodo. I don't know, but I know there was some stuff like sometimes maybe they give an option to create a Digibyte Dex wallet that uses their infrastructure, except it's just branded Digibyte, but it uses the Komodo engine. I mean, maybe that's an option. Maybe that will give you all the compliance and all the stuff up front, and I don't know what that would cost or what it would take, but that might be a better box kind of solution ready to go. Because I mean, we've used Komodo before. I've used it before. Make a white
yeah.
label solution and make it quote unquote Digibyte Dex, and that's where you can add Digibyte with all the other pairings and add it with Digidollar, and now that becomes your I hate to use the word centralized, but your main location for people to go in. And it'll bring
Now,
people from the outside too if they want to learn about it and trade into it.
who controls the slippage?
I don't know. I don't know who controls it,
It
because I
would
thought
it would be Komodo's, right?
it would have
Komodo's.
to be, yeah.
So that's the question at hand, bro. Is the rewards, because it's still a reward system, and who's to say that while Komodo might be great and everything, but what if they decide to bring up their fees? Like those are like it's tough, because no matter what way we approach the liquidity pool, it has a hint, if I could say it that way, a hint of centralization.
Oh yeah, I don't think you're going to eliminate centralization. I think you have to figure out which one offers the least amount of risk. I don't think you're going to find a perfect solution. I don't think it exists. I think because if you have a totally decentralized solution, you might not have liquidity there. You might not have users using it. Then you have a platform that has 5 million users and people are using it. Everybody knows how to get in and out, but you have a ton of security risk. So you're gambling, just hoping and praying that it's not going to be your day that day that you get hacked. But hey, you got a way to get in and out. You just have to have one eye open when you're doing it. I don't know, dude. It's a tough thing. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know if we're going to solve it on this call, but it's something to. I mean, it would even be great to get folks like Johnny's opinion on this. Like, what is the best way to approach this, knowing all the risks, or even hell, get maybe even. I mean, I could ping Dennis and see if. I mean, I know he's doing a web wallet right now, but it would be interesting to see if he had any ideas on it from a dev position. I don't know.
Yeah, because that's. I mean, again, yeah, I don't think we're gonna solve this neither. It's just this is gonna be in the talks for, I think, months in advance, even after the Digibyte launches. I guess the only thing, like, if we were for whatever reason want to launch something like this early, would be realistically just for exposure, and it's like the community is, risking an amount of money out there, or like I feel like, again, bro, it would be like, is Jared willing to be the face of basically our node for the liquidity pool, or someone as big as that entity, if we're not going to go the route of
See, I don't know if we can ask any more of him, man, because I mean, just in my own humble opinion, he's already got enough risk out there by doing all the Digidollar stuff, and at some point, it will have to go to somebody else. Because I mean, I don't think it's fair to ask for him to take all the risk and do all this, and then he's already has to deal with so much back and forth in the past, even now, even if it's diminished, and now we're asking him to hold another, big thing. I personally wouldn't ask him. I don't think it's even a fair ask. I think somebody else, because that goes back to what we said before, dude. You can't ask the devs to do everything and then ask the devs to now be the face of the functionality. It's not fair, right? Like, if we have this big of a community and people want to see this, other people have to step up. And I'm not saying that it has to be one of us on this call. I'm just saying that has to be the call to action. And the only way we'll know that is you might have to put out some polls or put out some discussion points. Like, we know the pain points. Some of the pain points were like mobile wallet, web wallet. Okay, now those things are getting, in development. Great. Community spoke up. Somebody was willing to take the lead on and work on it. We'll find out if it comes to fruition. Then now the topic is liquidity, like these spaces. Like, maybe somebody has a solution, or maybe we need to keep asking those questions publicly, even on X, and say, what is the best option? What do you guys think? And see what the feedback is. If it goes like it's unheard of, like nobody's saying anything, well, I think you kind of have your answer for the short term. But, and by the way, AJ, I'm not stopping you or anyone else from proceeding with any of these options, but I would not feel good on a conscious level if I just say, yeah, go for it, and we didn't address the pros and cons of it. I think people have to know that. That's all.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, dude. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I look at this aspect as a marketing part. Am I 100% on doing the liquidity pool? Not really, bro. Like, I would much rather. I think that for me, I think that we have something already given to us, which is the lock, right? The time lock. I think that alone is its own marketing. And I know I'm not going to tell people how many years they have to lock or whatever, but I think a play where us as a community establish a massive lock and create a scarcity impact, right? I think that is almost like a better marketing tool than doing a liquidity pool, because I think if we do that, you're going to get organically other people that, I mean, anybody can do this liquidity pool, bro. Again, that's another factor here, is that anybody can if they have enough Digibyte and enough Digidollar minted, they can go establish their own liquidity pool. But and I just look at this as like it is like a good way for marketing if we plan on saying, well, let's raise this 10,000, hope that the morale is high and everybody in the community is going to support the liquidity pool that we create, whether that is holding someone accountable to it or not. And again, I also agree. I don't think it should be Jared, but it should, if it's going to be that scenario, it has to be someone in the stature as high as him. And honestly, from, being in the spaces for this amount of time, I only see Johnny. I'm sure you guys probably know other people, but Johnny would be the only one that, and again, I don't know how long he's been there, so it's kind of hard to appoint someone to that. But I would think of, as far as, I do believe that we need some type of marketing. And tomorrow I have something that I'm going to post up that I do want you guys to go there and pay attention to that bounty. We're working on it, and it's going to be great. And I think it's going to be great for marketing also. But in this aspect, as a community, I think, dude, we have a time like UTXO. Why not make one of the biggest marketing runs through a massive lock? Straight up, bro. Like, I don't know. Again, it just like, the liquidity, we're going to need it no matter what. But it's a game of competition, and it's a game, like you say, it's a game of risk. Like, how willing is the community to take this risk, or are they just willing to, do it for the better good, the greater good of Digibyte, and hope that no one goes and screws us over? It's tough, but I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
You know my standpoint. I don't think there needs to be a big lock, like everybody lock up $1 million or this 21K club, type thing. I just think when it launches, we need to. I mean, everybody's going to organically lock and do what they want to do. I've already stated that I'm locking for a 30-day just to make a statement and prove that it works, as everybody else should, because you have the keys to it. You can just unlock in 30 days. You can redeem it in 30 days, or you can let it roll over. You can do whatever you want. But I feel in that caliber, that's going to make more of a impact and a statement from a visual standpoint of people seeing like, okay, they built it. Now, is anybody using it? Okay, they used it and it worked. They fully completed a cycle of mint and redeem. Now let me try it out for myself. I feel like organically that's going to be just organic growth is going to be the best play, because just like, dude, we've been targeted, we're still being targeted. They're, they're the opposition. We're their opposition, obviously adversaries. So I don't think, me personally, I don't think providing liquidity is going to make much of an impact, just because,
So
unless unless there's like a combined supply and demand factor going on with Digibyte and Digidollars, and you know somebody does do it theirself, or people do come together and do it like that, because there's going to be that volume there for it. But right now, as it stands, there's no, just like YC said, people can just go to Coinbase, or not Coinbase, Crypto.com, Binance, wherever, just to get DGB if they want, until they can't, though. That's the thing.
See, I agree with Green on this. It's the same thing. Like, if you have a new protocol that is being talked about, it's like anything else. Like, for example, when you download a updated, and I don't know, this is just what my experience has been, what I've heard from other people too, is if you have X amount of your holdings and you put it in a new version of a core wallet, you're probably not going to send everything all at once. You're probably going to test it out. You're going to send a couple, make sure everything works. You do send and receive. Same thing with exchanges. Like you get this new exchange that lists us, or even established exchange for that matter. You're not going to send all your holdings that you plan on using all at once. You usually test it, and you even ask the exchange again, hey, what's the receiving address? Confirm it. You're going to go through a laundry list of steps before you actually use them. I think it's the same thing with this. As we've talked about, we've gone through 34 or 33 versions of this testing. We're hammering out all the bugs. People are still having, here and there little issues. We'll crank those out. Now, when it goes live, I don't believe, this is my opinion. I don't think people off the get-go are going to do a 10-year lock. I just don't see it. Now, I think will they do it on maybe a second or third phase? Sure, they will. But I think people are going to say, you know what, we're going to do 30 days, or 3 months, let's see. Okay, I'm going to do a 3-month lock, and I'm going to say, okay, my over collateralization, yeah, it's high, but it's not like crazy high, like 30 days, but I can live with it because it's not going to be a whole big amount. And I'm going to find out, does this system really work? Like if I do this and all this stuff it claims about, oh, well, it's in your wallet and you control the keys, they're going to sit there and validate everything that's been talked about this for the 9 or 10 months or however long, and they're going to try to prove it wrong. And if they find out on a 30-day or a 3-month, that's more than enough window for them to say, yeah, this is total BS, or man, this is like crazy good. They don't need that long of a period to identify if they have affinity to it. And when they do a 30-day or a 3-month, they're going to go through all the ups and downs of their emotion. Oh, I locked up for 30 days. I really hope it unlocks after 30 days. Oh, okay. It's the vault's unlocked. Now, can I redeem it? Okay. If I hit the redeem button, is it going to show back? Like all those psychological steps they're going to do. And if it passes on that, I think then you're going to start seeing people like, okay, we passed this test. It works like it says that is. Now it's time to really implement the full-blown strategy of what I really want to do. I just don't think people are going to go off the get-go and say, for community effort, we're going to lock up for 5 or 10 years. I don't see it. I mean, there might be a very small, like portion of it. And they might be the people that are like, you know what? Hell, I'll just lock up for 10 years and I don't really care if I lose this Digibyte or, if I don't get it back, it's not a big deal. But you don't want that crowd either, because if they don't test it or they don't have any affinity to it, then you're not going to really get the emotions of trying to figure out, does the protocol really do what it says it is going to do? So anyway, I know I'm rambling, but that's the way I would look at it from a product and user experience standpoint. Just my opinion.
And I agree. Those are great points to point out. And I agree with that completely. But like, here's the elephant in the room. We are clearly getting suppressed. And like at one point, it's not that we're going to get radical, right? But like, something's got to be sacrificed. And, we're talking about liquidity pools, and the liquidity pools, it comes with the same risk factor. So like, yeah, it's not like I'm not tied to like long-term locking or anything like that. It's just the marketing ploy of the massive lock, whether
yeah, but see, AJ, here's what you're missing, dude.
Yeah.
I think you're thinking long-term leads to supply constriction. And what I'm simply telling you is it's not time, it's the amount. So what I'm telling you is that you may not lose people that have large amounts of Digibyte that are still willing to lock it up, but they just don't want to lock it up for 10 years. I mean, you might have someone that is like some crazy whale and they've got so much and they're like, the standard like amount, like let's just say it's, $1 million or $2 million, which we would think is so crazy. That's just such a small amount of their holdings that they're probably willing to quote unquote test it. Now we probably wouldn't, or folks that are just like, oh, we got X amount, we're not going to do that. It's too big a risk. But for them, those are the people we want to attract. They might block up 1 or 2 million or 3 million Digibyte or whatever it is for a 30-day or 3-month. That to me still falls in line with the supply restriction. It constricts the supply still, because remember, it's not time. It's the amount of Digibyte that gets locked that causes that economic model to tip, where if that demand is so high and you don't have the supply, that's going to cause this quote unquote appreciation. It's not like, because I'll give you a perfect example. Hear me out for a second. Let's say you get 1,000 people from the community, and 1,000 people, which is overly aggressive, 1,000 people lock up 10 Digibyte for 10 years. Okay? Let's just say, because, we want to go for the community, like, let's call it $15 or whatever, $25, whatever it is. And we're like, oh, we'll get the masses. It's 1,000 people are going to lock it up. Do we really think that those 1,000 people locking up 10 Digibyte for 10 years is better than 3 whales coming in, locking up 10 million each for a 3-month period? Which has better economics?
And put y'all on game too.
Yeah, I agree.
Look on chain.
Hold on, I agree with that, right? Like, I do agree with that. The whales is going to be more beneficial for us. And the thing is, like, we need the exposure, bro. And that's like, I agree with what you're saying. I'm just looking at it as exposure wise, kind of like, that's the problem here is we keep getting suppressed, right? The utility works, everything. However, people are going to do lock. Like, how do we surpass that?
Well, we surpass that by creating demand of locking Digibyte, but don't make it a time game. The time game is something they're going to learn themselves, because they realize that it's like anything else, dude. Like, if I go test something out and I go and I'm locking it up and it works out, and I'm like, damn, dude, like, I don't have to go to a bank. I can like keep this in my wallet. Like, it's doing what it's saying. Then I'm going to naturally, in my mind, I'm going to think about, well, wait a second. If this worked on a small amount, like, maybe I'm willing to put a larger portion in. You have to create that incentive for people. And then that incentive is going to create virality around it. And then people are going to talk about it. They're going to be like, then you're going to start seeing examples. Not that I would recommend this, but people are going to be like, oh, yeah, I locked up, X amount. You know how people do that whole showcasing, right? It doesn't matter. We can't stop it. It happens. And then people are going to think, well, wait a second. This dude locked it up. Maybe I should think about that. And so naturally, as more and more of that happens, it's what I said in the call like 5 weeks ago or whatever. The more people that lock up, dude, they can't keep those coins on an exchange. They have to withdraw them because you can only do it in the core wallet. So that's going to create less of this paper movement or whatever you want to call it. And I think that is going to tip the scales. So anyway, just my opinion. CJ, I know you got your hand up, so maybe AJ, you want to give him a chance to talk because I don't want to hog the whole thing up.
Yeah, my bad. Go ahead, TJ.
I agree. And forgive me, I don't know anybody's names, but I agree with the speaker that just was speaking just now. I am not at all savvy at computers. It's kind of embarrassing, but I'm an investor, right? And at the end of the day, I see the whole idea of Digibyte and Digidollar, and if it works, that's great. And I'm gonna do a gradual lockup. Like, I don't have that many Digibyte, but do a gradual lockup of 10,000 and test it out for 30 days. If that works, then I'm gonna spread the word, right, to all my buddies and all my friends, and self custody, and like, hey, this thing works. And
Bingo.
I totally like everything that you're saying is absolutely correct, because to be our own bank, and again, it move as smooth as it does, like or Digiscope, all this whole crypto space is all new, right? So it's just for me, right? And again, I'm a Mac user because it's easy. I'm not savvy at any type of computers. I'm not even savvy at a phone. I have an iPhone 11. So it's just like, at the end of the day, I think he's absolutely right. Once we see that it works for the first 30 days that it's open, I mean, that it launched and it's working seamlessly, and now we can trust it, man, be a rush of people that's going to be like, what? This is smooth. This is smooth. And then that you won't need the marketing, right? People are just going to just word of mouth it and just rush the centralized exchanges to buy more, to lock them up in self custody, and then that will kill the manipulation, because nobody
Well,
wants
CJ,
to.
you said something that's really important, and that's what I was trying to stress, but you said it even better, is you talked about this rush. And
Yeah.
this is like, I'm sure you guys have seen the whole hockey stick effect, where, things will just be kind of flat. They're just stable. And that's your testing period. Like you're talking about 30 days, 3 months, and you're going to keep compounding users. You're going to be like, hey, dude, I'm going to try this out for 30 days. I'll report back to you. You tell me what you're going to find out. And then if the 2 of you or 3 of you or 5 of your buddies come and be like, dude, it worked just like we talked about. What about you? You're like, yeah, it's smooth. Let's try it again. And so eventually that is the marketing, like you were saying, and that's going to compound. And then you're going to get this moment where everything seems quiet. Like, yeah, we've been doing this for a bit. And then it's just going to hockey stick, because that adoption rate is going to cause the word's going to go around. And because we don't know who the large holders are, they're going to look at this as kind of a testing ground. They're going to see the pulse of what all of us are doing. And if there's confirmation and they test it after that, what are they going to do, dude? Whales know each other. They're going to go tell their buddies. It's the same thing over. So you summed it up perfectly, CJ, and I appreciate that. And I just had to chime in because this is what I was trying to explain as well to AJ, is that this thing that we constantly talk about in Digibyte, and I'm not saying you, AJ, directly. I'm just saying I hear it. I even started hearing it again. It's like, oh, well, we got to do marketing. Well, what does that mean? Like, you want to get a publication to cover us? Or like, this guy was like, oh, well, we're in the top 200 on CMC. We're kicking butt. Oh, now we're in the 300s. We need to do marketing. Well, we didn't do any marketing to get up in the 200s, and now we're dropping. So we need marketing now? Like, I don't get it. Yeah, pick one. So it's and you have to create something that it's just a snowball effect. And that's what I think, CJ, you just said it perfectly, dude, is that you go in gradual stages, and that's how this whole thing goes. Anyway, back to you, CJ. Sorry about that.
No, that's totally fine. Please, by all means, that's exactly what it is. Essentially, it's the sooner we get it, it's released and it's launched to the public, the sooner the people like myself who's not savvy would try to use it, and then we can get the ball rolling, right? And then that, like you said, snowball effect will happen. The marketing is, you won't even need it, because again, if we are now our own bank and we can take it from the centralized exchange, man, the game changed. I think it would change. Honestly, I could see it changing in 3 months, right?
Well, the leverage is gone from and what you said too is this is something we've talked about internally for years. Is we as a community spend a lot of time. I hate to use this word, but like begging for people to list us. We don't have any leverage in that situation. We fill out the applications. The terms are dictated by the exchange. What this does is this completely flips that on its head. Because if there's enough users that are in their own control of their assets and are doing this and they lock up, you and I both know, and everyone on this call knows, exchanges will want a piece of that pie. They're going to add it because they know if there's enough users that are using it, I'm using the word using it, and they're exchanging value, doing everything, they're gonna be like, dude, there's clearly demand. Like, and these guys aren't going to pay for it because they're not going to do it. They're operating on their own and it's working fine. Well, we should get into that. We have our own holdings and we should participate, because if we participate, now they're going to come on our exchange and spend more money to do more swaps, make more trading revenue, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why this is so key, is that when we talk about, hey, the community, it's up to the community. The community is the marketing. There is no better statement than that and relevance to this, particularly in Digidollar, to prove that.
Can I say one thing about being the community? I think we are the community, and it's still up to us to let people know about Digibyte. Because that's one thing, until I had to research and know about Digibyte myself. So the more people I get to tell about Digibyte, I think the more word will spread about it. But sometimes Digibyte is the only coin I've seen that actually has true value, like, with everything. So I think there's something that makes Digibyte stand out, regardless, even if we don't get the promotion that we need. Digibyte is still the best any day, anytime.
Ziggy, you made me think of something, and I don't know if this makes sense, but we're like the anti-crypto.
Yo,
like
we really are, dude.
Like, I don't know if people really understand that, but just think about, like, we're like everything that crypto currently is not, but we are the epitome of what crypto should be. And so even creating like virality around that, like, we get overlooked, this and that, but we are the true version of what it should be. And the industry has lost its way. We need to be that answer. We need to be that light for people. And I agree with you. We do need to keep sharing information and educating, and we're doing that a lot more. I mean, we're in conversations. We got more accounts. These spaces are awesome. That's how we do it. But it was started with zero. Then Green started it. Now AJ's doing them. I've done a couple, and I know the young guy, who I can't remember. I think it's Alhambras or this other 17, Alas Rambas. That guy, he was doing it, getting more and more people. So, and everyone has their own lane. So I think that's what you got to do. But we have to keep pushing that, and this will be a good test when Digidollar gets released. Is, okay, everyone's excited. Let's see who's actually going to get in there and do it. And it could be whatever amount, but what you're doing is, it's a study. Because if you get enough of your sample size to be like, yep, everything they said, it works, that is going to be the thing that people hang on to. Well, I saw 25 people or 30 people use it and it worked. Let's do it. That is the marketing. It's us.
So now that does pose the question, and does it really even matter? Like Green says, does it really even matter to attack liquidity? Is that something that we should actually then focus on, or just I guess it's just a waiting game right now until Digidollar launches?
Well, I think the only thing I'm not really fully clear about, because I can't really understand it yet, is how do you get more Digidollars? I guess that's my only question. Like I guess you would need someone that's willing to sell them, right? Because someone's
Number go
locking them
up.
up.
Sorry, but yeah, number go up. That's how we get more Digidollars. Oracle price higher. That's how we get more. We
But
mint
what I'm
more,
saying
and
is
then we
though, like,
provide.
would exchanges need to carry that though, or no?
I think exchanges will need to, because
Yeah.
if you mint it on the blockchain, you have to probably send it to an exchange, and as a Digidollar, probably you can withdraw it or trade it to Bitcoin, whichever way or whatever intent you're investing in Digidollar for, or like if you
Yeah,
want to
so you
borrow
need
again.
an on-ramp and an off-ramp. So you're probably going to have like a DD USD pairing if you want. But I haven't, so that's my answer to that, AJ, is that I don't know if you really necessarily need Digibyte liquidity because it's already listed everywhere, or you could swap it. But you might need Digidollar. You will need it. And by the way, while we're talking about this, another great candidate for this is ChangeNow. ChangeNow is like a pseudo centralized exchange and a DEX. They already support Digibyte for years.
There is also Trust Wallet. Trust Wallet
Yeah.
supports Digibyte. Yeah, I saw Digibyte on Trust Wallet too.
Yeah,
Crypto.
they just want 2K to get it started though, right? Or they're like a little expensive if I'm not
Who are you
mistaken.
talking about?
Changely?
No, it's not Changely.
No.
The
Or
exchange
Change
that
Now?
wants Change Now is someone we already use right now, and they swap. They're not the ones that ask for any money. This is a completely new exchange that we're not listed on at all that asks. This has nothing to do with anyone we're on existing.
What about Bybit? Somebody told me about Bybit because I had my
Well,
sister.
Bybit, the problem with Bybit is, in my opinion, because I've gotten a lot of requests about this, is they delisted the futures part of it, or the perpetuals, which I'm okay with because that's a whole other conversation. But I've been getting information from them about there's like an ST tag. An ST tag is like something they tag the pair because it might be liquidity issues. It might be like the variance between bid and ask, and they want people to fulfill that requirement. So I've had like companies, whether probably mainly scammers, that have said, hey, listen, we see you have this ST tag on the Bybit Digibyte pairing, which basically means you're on this like provision list, like, oh, they're looking at you because there might not be enough volume. And so we can help complete that with market making. Now, if you look deeper, and you probably ask Johnny, I would think that Bybit is connected to Binance. So I'm not really sure what they're going to really let go of that. I don't know. So that's my only thing with Bybit is I know they have this, because this conversation has been going on for like a month or two. So I'm not really sure if they would be the best place to do that.
Got it. Because I have a sister and that's international in Africa, and I was trying to get her to, invest in some Digibyte, and somebody, I think, a master of the Digibyte.
Yeah, master of leadership. Yeah.
Master of leadership. He told me that Bybit, you can buy it on Bybit internationally. So I was like, oh, okay. So that's what I just mentioned that now, like
Yeah, I would just check out like before, if you tell her to do that. I mean, I know there's probably other options you could do. I mean, I think crypto.com is international too. I would think they're probably a safer bet. Or even check like OKX. Even them, I've heard, community members have used them. Their fees are really low and they've actually withdrawn and deposited. So I think some better options. I probably would do a little bit of research on that before you tell her to go there. Just my
got it.
opinion.
Okay, no, OKX. Thanks. I mean, you said it's part of Binance, and I'm anti-Binance.
Well, I think a lot of these companies have like some type of underlying layer connected to Binance, but I know OKX, for example, they support Digibyte. They also are in the US, and they're worldwide. They're international. So that might be a little bit, they're probably going to do KYC. If you're looking for non-KYC, then you might have to go to some other swap service, but just kind of do your research before telling her to go there.
Have you guys seen that Nigeria
Yeah,
Schedule?
Posting on is on
Yeah,
Digibyte
you
is
could use
available on
Nigeria
Nigeria
is
too.
definitely supporting it. I don't know if they're actively live yet because the last conversation they said was that they're in the process of quote unquote accumulating. So I don't to hold up reserves, but
Another thing, sorry to interrupt you, is Binance. I know they're supporting Digibyte, but they won't sell to you, and they wouldn't sell. They're holding it.
Oh wow.
you
Yep,
mean
I've
you mean there's a
tried.
capped withdrawal?
You can't even buy one Digibyte on Binance. Boy, it's
Yeah,
posted there.
yeah,
It's
that's
there,
true.
but you can't buy.
That's true. I see because one of my buddies, a buddy that runs the Spanish page in Spain, he's been having trouble because that's how he
They'll say
buys.
this is not
He's been
available
having
in your
trouble buying on
location or
Binance.
something. It's not available. They support it, but they don't sell.
Yeah, so that's another whole reason, right? Like if we know Binance holds most of the supply, supposedly, I mean, it's kind of makes sense that everybody that's on there is just selling into their book and they're not letting you buy it, right? Because if you bought it, it takes it out of their custody.
Their custody, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if
So
y'all been watching on Jane for the past like week and a half, 2 weeks,
So is there any?
Binance Global, just Binance in general, has been the actor. Like like always though, but like they've been kind of blatantly showing it, which is pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
I don't know.
Recently, but yeah, now like Binance is tied to everything. Just go
Yeah.
ahead and accept that, guys.
yeah,
Yeah,
so but this is why I'm saying earlier is Digidollar puts that under that also can mitigate that too, right? Because like I think Johnny said maybe 70% of the funds are the exchange and maybe 30% are user funds, which may not seem like a lot, but when you have that much Digibyte, you're talking a lot of Digibyte, even at 30%. I'm not saying everybody's going to withdraw, but if you have
No, but
a good portion of those funds that want to use Digidollars, they're going to have to pull it off the exchange.
yeah. So
It sounds like somebody cut off there.
yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say this this Digibyte this excuse me, this Digidollar has to get released, man. I can't wait. I think everything is going to come to fruition as um the previous speaker was speaking about. Yeah, it's going to be a snowball effect. If it works seamlessly, you know, people like myself that are not savvy and it's as easy, we're going to advertise for it. The marketing, everything is just going to be great.
Well, the other thing too that's great about this, CJ, is that, and for anyone else, is the thing about the Digidollar is that not only in the wallet but even on the website, you're going to have an actual public viewing of how much Digibyte is being locked up real time. So, I mean, people are going to start seeing that and realizing, I mean, that's going to give you another bit of information of like, what is the adoption rate and how much of that is being put in. Now, maybe the first time when it launches, maybe for the first month, maybe it'll be a lower amount because we're going through that whole testing phase. You don't want to get comfortable. And then if that gets adoption and that thing ramps up, you're going to see that. Then you're going to also see the over collateralization. So again, this stuff is going to be for public viewing 24/7. People are going to be able to gauge real time what the level of adoption is. And that will provide quote unquote marketing. Because people will screenshot that and be like, wow, look at how much this is happening from day to day or month to month. That number keeps increasing. That means this is working. People are doing it. Whether we want to speculate or not, that's a real number because it has to be done on chain. Right? So that's another thing. Like again, goes back to the word of mouth and going through that phased approach. It's a hockey stick effect again, because you might say, okay, month 1, month 2, we only had this much Digibyte locked up. Holy moly, 90 days later, this thing is just like, what's going on? It's the same thing, but now you have another point of evidence.
Yeah, and then and also just so I understand it again, I'm really not abreast with all this knowledge. Like I said, once it is launched, once it's launched on mainnet, download the the core wallet, self custody our stuff, and then we can lock it up for for Digidollar immediately, and then we have to go to like a Decred or something to actually get the Digidollar, correct?
No, so there's a difference of that. So
Okay.
when it goes live on mainnet, the
Mhm.
first thing is you have to get 75% consensus from miners. So
Yeah.
all the mining pools will be told, hey, you need to go upgrade your wallet. Most of them are going to see this as an incentive to have another asset that they can make money off of or block up anything in their corporate strategy for that matter. So we need them, 75% of the pools. We have a team, including myself, will go out, reach out to these pool operators, get them to upgrade. They upgrade. That means that they're signaling to everyone else that we agree with this and we want to adopt Digidollar as a part of our mining pool. Once you get 75%, and that period could take anywhere from a month to longer. It just depends on how responsive they are, how willing they are. Sometimes it's really quick. And then how quickly we get to that 75%. Once you get to the 75%, there's probably going to be a week or two of signaling, which means, hey guys, we're telling the entire market that the miners approve of this change. And they're proving it by saying we have 75% consensus. So there's going to be a period where it's locking in that 75%. Whether it's a week or two or whatever it is. After that, it will go fully live for all of us, for all users, miners, you, me, everyone. At that point, if you've got Digibyte on exchange, you need to take it off the exchange, send it to your core wallet, the upgraded one, get a receiving address in your core wallet. You get that. From there, you will have a tab in your wallet that says Digidollar. You would create an address in there, which is pretty easy. It tells you. And then you can actually lock up the Digibyte in that core wallet. It'll give you a bunch of disclaimers. Are you sure you want to do this? It'll give the conversion based on the Oracle pricing. Once you do that and you say, are you sure? Those Digidollars will get minted and will show up in your core wallet under your Digidollar balance tab. You don't need to go somewhere to get it. That's the beauty of this. You don't need a third party to do this transaction. It all happens within your wallet on your isolated computer. And once you do that, if you're then like, hey, I want this Digidollar and I want to, I don't know, swap it into some other assets or I want to off ramp it. Well, then that's where you have to figure out, like, do these exchanges have that Digidollar pairing on there to transact or swap? So for example, if you go to Exchange now and they're like, yeah, we're going to list Digidollar. Okay. You have your Digidollars in your wallet. You go to Change Now, you swap those Digidollars to Bitcoin or ETH or stable coins, you can do it. Now you have your own stablecoin wallet and you get it. So that's how the process works. You don't need to right now go get Digidollars if you've already locked it up. It all happens in your wallet. And it's kind of weird because in most cases you don't do that. Now the other big thing is, let's just say you lock it up for 30 days. Okay. You're testing it out. You're like, oh no, man, I only want to do it 30 days. And for some reason, those Digidollars that you get in the 30 days, you use them all up. Okay. You spend them on something. 30 days comes and your vault where you locked it up says, you know what? It's available for you to redeem. You've unlocked that vault because the 30 days has happened. But you're like, shoot, I don't have any Digidollars. Well, the thing is, your core wallet's not going to cause a liquidation or a margin, or it's not going to take your Digibyte. It's not going to be like, oh, you missed the 30 day. You don't have the funds. Screw you. You're done. We're going to steal. It's not doing that. It's just going to sit there in your wallet. Your Digibyte are still there. They won't unlock because you don't have the quote unquote keys, the Digidollars to unlock it. It'll just sit there. So you didn't lose them. You just need to find a way to get the Digidollars. Now that's where you might need an exchange to get more Digidollars, or you might need to spend, hey, I went to my job, I got my paycheck in 2 weeks. That paycheck, I'm going to put that into fiat and I'm going to buy Digidollars, take those Digidollars and unlock my Digibyte. And the beauty is maybe in 30 days, maybe the price goes up and your Digibyte are still natively there and they're worth more, or maybe they're down or whatever it is. But that's the way the wallet works. I'm really trying to dumb it down. I mean, there's a lot more other nuances, but that's how it's supposed to be. You're not going somewhere to get those Digidollars. They're being minted right in your wallet.
Nice.
So coming
Basically,
again,
you got the power, is what he's saying. You're the bank and the treasury now.
Exactly.
So
I like.
yeah, this
There's no
guy's
counterparty risk in there involved at all.
I
no
love it.
secondary or third. Literally, it's literally just you and your wallet.
And the beautiful thing is when you mint those Digidollars and they go on chain, they will be represented as zeros, or like you won't know. I guess people on chain won't know how much you're locking up in terms of, or how much you're minting. Now, what will happen is the aggregate amount on the website or in your wallet will say, this is the total amount of Digidollars in the entire system that have been minted. Now, you could be a part of that, but you get like privacy around it. Nobody really knows what's going on. So now you have a little bit of that anonymity kind of element going in, but you can also prove that it got locked because it happened on chain, and you can see the global health meter and indicator saying, "Yup, it's a fact. This is how many have been locked up. This is how many Digibyte locked up. Here's how many Digidollars are minted. Oh, and by the way, we're at 500% over collateralization, so we have no risk to this. Like everyone's good. You get all that data real time."
How do you, let's say your 30 days time lock is done, from your understanding, how do you release your Digibyte, your Digidollar that is holding? Let's say you have your money, your paycheck back. How is it done? Do you have to buy more Digibyte, or how do you pay in that
No,
money you
so that's
borrowed?
the thing. So let's say you lock up your Digibyte, right? And I'm just let's forget about how much Digibyte you have, but let's say you get 100 Digidollars from that mint. Okay, you lock up whatever the price of Digibyte is equal to, and you over collateralize it. Let's say it's 30 days, so you're doing 5-to-1. So for every one Digidollar, you got to lock up $5 worth of Digibyte, not 5 Digibyte, $5 worth. That's an important distinction. So let's say you lock up, you get 100 Digidollars, you locked up $500 worth of Digibyte for 30 days. Okay, 5-to-1, 500%. After 30 days, your $500 worth of Digibyte, assuming the price is the same, right? Which we know it may or may not, but let's just assume for 30 days it doesn't do anything. It just sits at $500 worth. That 100 Digidollars that you have, or you need to have the 100 Digidollars in your core wallet, and there will be an option in your vault that will say redeem. And when you hit redeem, it's going to say, are you sure? You're going to say yes. And that 100 Digidollars will get burned. So it'll go away. And within your wallet, the $500 worth of Digibyte will be released back in your core wallet Digibyte address. So it's all done within your core wallet. Everything is done. Now, if you're like, hey, dude, I don't have the 100 Digidollars, I spent them, well, then you need to find a way to get 100 Digidollars. And that's what I was saying earlier. That's where you might need a DEX or a centralized exchange that carries a Digidollar pairing, because if you had a Digidollar USDC pairing and you're like, hey, I went to Coinbase, I bought $100 worth of USDC. Now you go to change now and you're like, oh yeah, I have USDC of $100, swap it into 100 Digidollars. Now you have your 100 Digidollars. You go to your core wallet and unlock your Digibyte. So you can find ways to make it up. That's the whole game plan. But again, all that locking and unlocking, that happens within your own custody. You don't need permission from anyone. You don't need someone to say it's time for you to do it. You get the indicator, only you know it. You can do it. If you're like, I don't want to do it because I don't have the money right now, but I'm going to find out in 2 weeks. Cool. They're not going to take it away anyway. It's sitting there. There's no liquidation risk. There's no margin risk. Hell, if you had a 30-day lock and you want to keep it for 5 months because you're like, I don't need the money, cool. It's just sitting in your wallet. As long as you have your keys, only you know about it. That's the difference. You find other coins that are over collateralized, but if the health falls or they don't have any kind of redemption mechanism to keep that stability up, they'll take all your coins, all your assets. It's margin call, liquidation. There's nothing like that in this at all.
So that was awesome. That was awesome. Amen, bro.
I got passionate there, man. Dude. I got passionate.
Yeah, we need it.
Much needed.
And that's why I'm saying, like, people have to take the time to understand this, because if you think about this, what I'm even saying on just a very like easy, like just take it for what it's worth. Just think about that. Like, if you get enough people to realize this is what crypto was about, like, I want to buy things. I don't want people to take it away. I want to spend it on what I can. Obviously, if If you're going to do something nefarious, it doesn't matter if it's crypto or normal fiat, you're going to get in trouble, right? So let's just assume we're doing it for good things, taking care of family, paying for life expenses, whatever it is, doing things that help us advance as individuals or as a group of collective people, right? As humanity. Well, we do that. There's no other stable coin or asset that will let you do this. Not in the way we're talking about. They won't protect against over collateralizing to protect the users. They won't give you anything absent of margin or liquidations. Oh, by the way, here's another big question people ask. Well, how much money does Jared or the developers make from Digidollar? There must be some catch. Somebody's making revenue off my locks or my mints. No, there's nothing. There's not. The only thing is you're going to have to pay the normal transaction fees when you lock up Digibyte or you mint or you redeem. That's happens anyway. That's normal if you send it to exchange. But this is the other reason, like from a regulatory kind of standpoint. I don't know when people talk about this, but nobody's making money off of this. This isn't some like, backdoor. Oh, I'm gonna put wool over everyone. I'm making all these trading fees and Nobody's doing that. This is purely for the people, man. Like this is literally an option to get out of the existing system. And you will know what you're paying when it tells you, and you keep it. And if you decide, hey, I want to leave it because I believe in long-term value, well, you have options. And I mean, there's even discussions you can scale your locks at different time periods. People might do a waterfall effect. I mean, the strategies and the optionality is limitless. I mean, I could talk about it for hours, but I don't want to bore you guys, but it's really it's mind blowing. You really take some time to think about it. And the first way is you have to test it. That's what we're all going to do. Every one of us, no matter how good it is, we're all going to be like, yep, I'm going to test it. 30 days, 3 months. I'm going to test it out. Let's see.
Dude, I can never get bored. Can never get bored of any.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, it's like you get like I even if you guys saw the video from Jared, I haven't seen him this pumped up about Digibyte for a long time. I mean, he's come out with some really awesome stuff, but like he almost looked like he was just about to explode on the video, like how pumped up he is about this, because he knows the implications of it. It's something we've been seeking for a very long time. I mean, I've had personal discussions with him for a very long time about how do we create an element to incentivize people. There's all these discussions about like POS and, trying to create some other mechanism. And this is it, guys. This is it. So, I mean, you could do all sorts of stuff. Like, I mean, even just, I talked about this too. Like, think about this. You have your, Digidollars, and you take those out and you put them in, let's just say, I've used this example many times, but let's say you put it in T-bills, or let's say you bought real estate with it, and your real estate is giving cash flow, and you lock it up for a year. You're getting cash flow from your rental property. You keep the spread in difference in your fiat. You take the rest of it, convert it back to Digidollars. You unlock your Digibyte. Maybe that's appreciated. Now you're getting like, I mean, you guys can see the creativity here, how you're cash flowing in various areas without losing your native asset, right? You're taking a loan against it and you're growing it wherever else you see fit. You get to keep your stream strategy, but now you get to implement it in the crypto world or in the blockchain, the parallel economy, right? So there's tons of creativity around this stuff. I mean, even secondary lending market where you can flip your Digidollar contracts to other people. They'll take over your positions too. I mean, we go on and on.
That was awesome, dude. Well, I would like, I saw that Adam joined real quick, and I would like to highlight and thank Adam. He's going to the CoinDesk Consensus 2026, actively driving right now. And I'd like to invite you to come and speak since you're doing that for the community, representing us. And thank you, bro. I'd like to give you guys, if you don't follow him, go ahead and give him a follow. And I guess, I don't know how willing you are to take DMs of question at him, but if you're willing to jump up and ask or answer that. But
Come get some practice, man.
I think he needs to be appointed a speaker.
Or
Yep.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
are you speaking or are you just going? Like you gotta like, yeah, that's what's
Yeah.
going on.
So
What's up,
yeah,
Adam?
I'm just
What's up, Adam?
driving to Miami. Got a late start and should be pulling up like midnight tonight, my time. But yeah, I know there's all this kind of conversation about how we can utilize the Digidollar and how the time lock works and how it works within our core wallet. And lately, my mind's been floating around like, how can the exchanges use the Digidollar and just, I know my mind's been everywhere of trying to like, how do I sales pitch this to an exchange that wants to use a decentralized stablecoin and it's like, I kind of feel like if they did a big dive into the Digidollar, they actually would have like a total control of the price of Digibyte, where the price of Digibyte would completely increase as they're time locking and doing the Digidollars. I mean, it's like a gold asset that they can control the price of gold and just not using gold as the collateral. And they're actually the more they time lock, the more their gold is worth, which is Digibyte. So I was just running through my own thoughts as I was just thinking about it. But yeah, I don't know. Did you guys check out that whole thing that Johnny Law and I was doing yesterday?
Yeah, we saw that. By the way, Adam, quick note on that.
Setting all those coins back and forth.
Adam, a good quick note is, I don't know if you've thought about this, but
so you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
We can hear. Can you hear us? Yeah.
You there?
Maybe you might have lost connection.
I can hear you. I can hear you guys. Yeah.
Can you hear me, Adam? I don't think you can.
I just sent them home.
All right, I think I got some bad signal where I'm at, guys.
All right, can you hear me?
We're clear. He might be having bad signal, but
so the thing I was just going to say real quick is that sometimes these exchanges have their own stable coin. So the other thing is that they can grow their treasury, right? Because if
all right, so I'm back. Wasn't sure if you guys were hearing me or not, but so Johnny and I been talking about showing the proof of concept of the tipping system and how we could demonstrate it to the community, and talked about doing like gradually increasing a value of coin back and forth. And, we weren't really tipping each other. We were just sending the same money, increasing it every time. And there was one instance where the actually tipping system said I had insufficient funds, but it really went through. But yeah, we climbed up there till the 800,000 coins that I sent to him, and then he turned around and sent my portion back.
So that was a stress test?
That was a lot of fun, and what's cool about the tipping system is it's, I don't know if you guys realize this, but there is a layer of privacy when we do that. I mean, you can send coins to somebody, you don't have to announce it on X, and it's a way to like, and it's not actually happening on chain, it's actually happening through the Digiscope site, so it's pretty private, if you guys are looking for that feature.
It's definitely happening on chain.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to going to consensus.
I don't think you can hear us.
Learning more about the current state of stable coins, and
yeah, I don't think so.
And there is so much to learn about cryptocurrency. I got a lot to do. Definitely going to be taking a fire hose of information the next 3 days, and I'm hoping to bump into the Kraken folks. And nope, I can't hear you. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Let me try logging off and logging back in.
Okay. Yeah, I just.
So one thing I was thinking about, guys, is that if you have I don't know if he's gonna come back in here or he's gonna hop off, but Okay, so one thing, the other kind of use case for exchanges is if you see some of these exchanges, they have their own like native stable coin, right? And so the other idea is the value for them is if they're giving their users some value on participating in their own stable coin, whatever that is, what stops them from taking the Digibyte that they have, minting it, locking it up, minting Digidollars, have a Digidollar pairing with their own stablecoin, and then locking up their own Digidollars into their stablecoin that's generating them yield that they control. I mean, why wouldn't they do that?
Yeah, I agree. That's when, remember, I don't know if you remember that I mentioned that we would force the exchanges to mint Digidollar.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. And so they're looking at it saying, okay, so we've now locked up the reason we're locking up this Digibyte is because we have a cash mechanism in our own stablecoin that we control, that we're giving our users 3%, 4%, 5%, whatever the number is. I don't know, whatever it is. But we get to be the recipient of that yield because we are purchasing those stablecoin that we're issuing. We're purchasing them through the minting of Digidollars, and we are creating that liquidity pairing because we're going to be an active user of it. And now let's say they lock it up for a year. And for a year, they're sitting there with all those Digidollars that are now converted into their stablecoin, making 3, 4, 5%, which may not seem like a lot. But dude, when you're controlling that stablecoin, you have oversight of it, you dictate the terms of it, and you're getting free cash flow off of it. And then in that period of time, let's say a year later, market conditions are changing, the native asset goes up. I mean, why wouldn't any exchange participate? Even if it's not given, even if the value of the native asset doesn't go up, it behooves them to keep cash flowing that asset because they keep the intrinsic value of the asset and they're using their own other tools or assets on exchange that they're managing to generate cash flow. It's kind of like this is a perfect example of like an exchange creating an exchange liquidity pool for themselves. They're seeding it with Digidollars and they're with like a Digidollar, whatever stable coin they have pairing, and they get the rewards, the yield of that, which they were issuing anyway from a stable coin. Well, why wouldn't an exchange do that is what I'm asking.
No, they will. I want to say something about this too. Me personally, from the clarity and the market structure and all that, and then a specific question that I asked a former CEO of was it Kraken and Gemini? Forgot the dude's name, but he basically said, and not even basically said, he stated that they pretty much everyone in the centralized system will be studying and watching the decentralized stablecoin aspect of blockchain technologies. So for the time being, personally, I don't see any. I mean, I'm surprised we're on where we're on, but there's all this stuff going. We shouldn't talk about that here, actually, because there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes,
I
especially
guess they're
with
just playing politics somewhere, somehow in crypto. The
yeah,
big dogs, I guess it's just some politics and manipulation.
yeah. But from
Well,
like
that's
a
what it's
legal
always been.
standpoint, yeah,
So I think what you're saying, Green, and I agree with this, is we have an element of marketing that we're not realizing we have, right? It's just part of us opting into using it. That is one of the best pieces of marketing we can do. And if we can explain, sometimes when we're getting exchanges to talk, we can try to give them benefits of how this will help them on their own. Whether they choose to do it, that's up to them. But remember, if any exchange participates, they're going to behave the same way we would. They're going to do the same thing. They're going to say, okay, we own X amount of Digibyte. We're not taking all of it. We're going to take 5% of it, and we're going to do a 30-day lock. And guess what? We're going to know, we won't know which one maybe, but we're going to know that some big exchange has done it because the health meter is going to show, or the system health is going to show a big chunk of Digibyte got locked up. We're going to know. And you know what that's going to do? That's going to trigger everyone else to be like, wait a second, what do they know that we don't know? Why are they locking up their Digibyte? What does that mean?
And the sign is there too. Like I know we don't want to mention too much crazy stuff like that, but one thing that I don't think it's a conspiracy. That 928 million Luna, and with Green and I back in a couple months we were talking about it, that burn was going to happen. I think that's that entity trying to sway, what's actively happening over here. So I think, yeah, that's another great uh, self marketing right there. The fact that we know that that's a type of suppression that he's doing.
Go look on my profile, y'all. Or because I don't. Or does the comments work for y'all? I don't know. Just look at I dropped a picture of something that's going on chain that happened. Like few weeks ago. But yeah, that should let you know right there that they're anticipating for sure Taproot. DGB 1P. That's what we're waiting on. All zeros, literally. But yeah, no, I don't think the exchanges like from that are we defeat their system with no effort. So it's like, why would they add it in to just die?
Well, I think also you're seeing heavy signs of accumulation too, right? So, I mean, I think even Johnny was saying, like, just what happened the past couple of weeks, it's not a sign of distribution, it's a sign of accumulation. We're going to see this more and more, because maybe they're prepping, right?
Yeah, they
What
tried.
what we're all talking about, they're prepping, because they understand, like, and I think that's the difference, dude, is like, I think people are going to now if the psychology happens the way we hope it does, people are going to second guess whether they should just dump the Digibyte. It will be too valuable for them to do that. Every time they do it, they know somebody else on the other side could potentially take it and lock it up. And they might not see those back on the market for, 30 days, a year, it could be 5, who knows? And that risk will be too great for people to pass on it. And that will be the thinking. Everybody's going to be playing that own game. Like, okay, well, if I get rid of it, am I ever going to get it back? Can I buy it cheaper? Can I do XYZ? Right?
Yeah, I mean the way
Yeah.
the market goes too, a month is basically a year, bro.
Oh, a month is an enormous amount of time, dude. That's what I'm saying. It's like an eternity. Yeah. So think about, and that's what that goes back to my point, AJ. If you're telling me a month is a year in our time, that's exactly why people won't lock up for 10 years off the get-go. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, they won't do it because 10 years is like 100 years or whatever it is in cryptoville, right? So they might go for 3 months, would be like a long period of time. Now, you're going to have people that are like, you know what? I don't really care. I have so much. I'll wing it. I don't really care. I'll do it for the love of the supply restriction. I'm just going to do it. But you just proved my point, man.
No, yeah, no, I know it's an extreme scenario, but like,
I don't know, man. It kind of seems accurate, dude. 30 days is a long freaking time, dude.
No, it is a long time, but I look at it like, bro, we have so many options. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've mentioned before, I'm definitely gonna do it. That might be the only post I'll post out there with like a numbers. I'm not a fan of like the posting the buys, but I think the locks are gonna be cool to see, and I wouldn't mind like locking up a good chunk and just posting out there and just leaving it there, and that's it. Just that I don't know. I kind of see it like a cool thing for me. I don't know, but I'm not telling anybody do it or anything, but I just kind of like the idea of just, well, here's this machine that I have over here with a core wallet, and I decided to lock up 100,000 tokens, and in 10 years I'll go look at it, you know? Well, no, what happened? Everybody's still there? You guys can hear me?
I'm just
Yeah,
listening
yeah.
to you guys actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, dude, but we definitely went on for a long time. That was awesome, bro. It was a good space today. You guys started talking crazy.
Talking, what you mean?
Yo, you about to do a debrief or?
I mean, yeah, we can.
All
We can.
right, bet we're about to do a debrief on Green's channel. Tomorrow I'm doing another space. I'll announce a bounty that I'm am planning to do. There's a lot of work behind it, but that's how I guess this upcoming quarter's giveaway is. Not really giveaway because it's a bounty, but you guys will see tomorrow. Thank you guys for joining. Also, I made a Facebook page. There's a link down there. It's the same Digidollar awareness information. The only thing I had to name it AJ Digi because they didn't recognize Digidollar awareness as a name. But you guys, like always, thank you again for joining. Thank you again for sharing your time with Digidollar awareness and everybody that chimed in. Thanks. Hope to see you guys more often and see you guys tomorrow. Go join Green Space. Thank you guys. Good night.